morning, good evening, good night, good day. It depends what time you're actually watching this and which part of the world you're actually watching it from. Today is the 29th of August, 29th of August 2024. The time now is about 2 p.m. in the evening. We are in Finsbury Park, and that's in London, and that's in England, and that's in the UK. And the temperature today is around 22 degrees. When the wind blows, it's probably down to 20. I might put my jacket on. I think it was relatively hotter than that earlier on. I did invite 2 guests to come along. I've got my regular guests and a new guest. So whether they turn up during the broadcast, we shall wait and see. Anyway, so it's the day, it's the week. So Monday, so today's Thursday. Monday was a bank holiday, and we had Carnival in Notting Hill Gate, and we had various activities up and down the country. And probably where you are, I know in America we got a thing called Labor Day, so it's either it's coming up soon or it's either gone, you know. But here we are today. We have a Prime Minister. He's in France at the moment. Keir Starmer is in France at the moment, talking to the French president. Yesterday he was in Germany, speaking to the German Chancellor. Oh, they don't call him Prime Minister, they call him Chancellor. Ah, here comes Graham. And one of the messages he actually gave out was things are actually gonna get better. Jump in, Graham. Yeah, things are gonna get better. Actually, no, it's not gonna get better. Things are gonna get worse. All right, come in a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
Hi.
That one. Yeah. Yeah. So how are we doing?
Great, on a personal level.
Okay.
Fantastic, yeah. Because I've been in the Carnival 3 days, and it's like heaven. It was, you know, it's hard to come down from that and you know, realise how unfriendly and hostile the average life is after that. Those 3 days of being
Okay.
you know, love really.
So tell us a little bit of what you could remember or what was exciting.
Well, every morning got the and evening got the overground from Stratford to Kensal Rise, walk down the hill and back up again.
Okay.
And yeah, so I spent a weekend with the London School of Samba in St Charles Square, which was really friendly and people from abroad and that. And the atmosphere was great. But also the atmosphere outside was great. I remember the Saturday night walking up the hill, probably more women than men, and a few children, not all that many. I think they'd have probably been taken home earlier.
Okay.
But oh, it was very friendly. And even the people who kind of looked a bit rough that were very friendly. So I realised that basically they don't really look rough. It was just the way the propaganda's in my head, you know. I mean, obviously the police had caught some youngsters on the side, and I don't know, maybe they were as guilty as charged. Probably were, but it was very small and petty, and it was probably petulant as well. But that was really nothing. And it's funny because the parade, we went on the parade on Monday, and it was beautiful.
Okay.
It was like, and we didn't have any ruffians like trying to deliberately get under the get under the ropes, trying to touch women. There'd be less and less of that. but there was none. In fact, we when we came down Ladbroke Grove and we put the ropes up, we didn't even need to. It wasn't even necessary. We did it like, and it wasn't really necessary because I usually just you know, like stop dancing and join in, and didn't need to because it was just so nice. And I think, right, I want to give my thanks to Tommy Robinson and Elon Musk and Nigel Farage for making it such a good carnival.
All right.
Because if they weren't such pieces of shit, we wouldn't have needed such a large dose of therapy, which we had. In fact, I've had even more therapy that I can handle, and it's great.
Okay.
It's lovely. It's like, so we've gone from hate to love, right? To use the simplest words possible. I usually tend to use more sort of like intellectual, ideological words, but I can't think of, you know, any better way of putting that can explain things to everybody, especially the people who unfortunately weren't there.
No,
well, I'm sorry for.
Yeah, I wasn't there this year. I had many invites, including from you as well. Yeah. So, and
oh, there we are.
And there was many corners if I went down that I would have had to cover. And anyway, so the aftermath now.
Yeah, I heard about their stabbings. Oh yeah, dun dun dun. Well, there was a. I think today I heard on the Radio 4 and LBC Radio and Times Radio, what have you, because I listen to all of them, and they went on about this stabbing, and I thought, oh, they can't blame that on the carnival.
And they did.
Well, today's stabbing.
Oh, that one.
Today's
Oh,
one. No.
okay, yeah.
The one that got away.
Yeah, there was one in today.
Today, yeah.
Stockholm, was it? All right.
Yeah, Stockholm.
The guy was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that is criminal. You know.
well, yeah. You look. Don't think I'm advocating stabbing people. I'm certainly not. What I mean is, what I'm trying to say, ironic. I'm using irony, really, and maybe I'm a bit naughty to do so, because really, I mean, these things are all horrible. But the thing is, the propaganda value of, you know, that these people are not only you know, like immoral pieces of shit that do such a thing, but also they're fucking destroying the life for the rest of us, who, I mean, 2 million people were having a nice time, and even though it's possible that the stabbings weren't anything to do with the carnival, but they were in Notting Hill, or Ladbroke Grove, or any of that area, but they added it together for the police chief, right, in his own prejudiced, bigoted, probably racist way, saying that you know, he's had enough, and he thinks it should be moved to Hyde Park.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Which even if people had only farted, he would have wanted to go to Hyde Park. Because he doesn't like the smell.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one of the things that stuck in my craw, as to put it. Now,
it's called churlish, mean-spirited churlishness.
Okay, he made it seem that he wasn't in charge of the policing in Carnival. He was a different body.
He was a different body, yes.
Yeah, that he was in isolation. But guess what? He's part of the policing in Notting Hill Gate. In fact, they control the whole of Carnival.
Well, I saw this year a hell of a lot of police dancing and some singing.
Right.
And that's a sight to see.
Right.
And they were having a good time.
Right.
Even the riot cops were relaxing, chatting to each other with their helmets on their wrist. And after 1 month where the Union Jack waving patriotic Nazis were trying to literally kill them.
Yeah.
Right? They were having a very nice time with these foreigners and immigrants and migrants and you know, dark skins were actually chatting with them, hugging them, and being jolly with them.
As,
How weird.
as every year in Carnival.
As every year,
Right.
but more this year than any other time.
All right, so the first part of my response to that second police chief who was in commander, right? Okay, so he makes it seem that the Carnival had nothing to do with him, right? In fact, he had everything to do with him. He's in charge of the policing in Carnival, right? And
he made it seem as if his own deep-seated prejudices had nothing to do with him.
well, that came out.
That's called schizophrenia.
Yeah, right? And it shows you. Yeah. Well, they're very good at it, and it shows you, right, the institutional, right, problems that is still there, and that's a good example. But here's the second thing, right? If he's sick and tired, right, of telling, then he's in the wrong job. If you're sick and tired, you should resign.
Well,
let somebody
yes.
else who has the energy to police Carnival
Yes,
property
and
properly,
properly.
yeah, to police Carnival take over. So if you say to me you're sick and tired, I'll say, go, let me put somebody else.
And remember, property is not theft, but Carnival.
Right. And
Or Brook Bond.
yeah, and as you've shown, the institutional racism, right, which he doesn't realize he's exhumed by making that statement.
You see, you know, I actually found some quite interesting concepts in some of the seminars that I went to in the University of East London, and otherwise I wouldn't be able to say what I'm about to say. That actually, there's a conscious prejudice, but there's also unconscious bias, and then there's a mixture of the two. But I mean, the thing is, right, I believe with him it's probably conscious prejudice, but even if it wasn't and it was unconscious bias, that he couldn't find himself to say something nice to about 2 million people who were actually, you know, actually being kind of loving to each other, right? Then I don't know. And I mean, you know, on the Saturday evening, there was more women than men. In fact, on the Saturday, there was the equal number of women to men for the Monday, which is very strange. So how threatening it's meant to be, I don't know.
But look at it this way. So with the stabbing now, so it was 3 people that was hurt. But here's what. Now, so I heard the statement, right? And you know what I realized is that the police and some of the prosecution services and some of the people who write statements are the most creative people.
Creative, yes.
Right? Now,
like Boris Johnson and his creative accounting.
there you go. Right? Yeah, and he's creative. He's creative, pretending to be a prime minister.
Pretending to be a prime minister.
But it was really a clown.
Yeah, really a clown.
He's playing a clown at being a prime minister. And
No, it's a clown playing a prime minister playing a clown. Now that is creative.
And we fell for it.
That is creative.
Singer,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But back to that incident itself. So my reading on it. So they said this woman was caught up in the middle. Now,
And we've heard nothing more else about it.
well, I heard she's in a serious
condition. Yeah.
Yeah. But here's the thing. If you're in a situation where there is two warring parties, you usually get out of the situation, right? The people who normally get killed and seriously wounded in those situations are the person who's trying to break it up. And I bet you my bottom dollar that she was intervening to actually stop them fighting, rather than she was. The statement doesn't make sense to what the police says. She happened to get caught up, right? If you've seen any street fight or any gang fight, right, you don't get caught up, right? No. Right. No. Once you see things happening, you either step away. Right.
Well, actually, as we know, with most violence tends to be domestic and not stranger danger, not strange people. Usually, strange violence, which happens from strangers, is the
chewing up cases.
Yes, is to do with two people that are quite mentally ill,
Yeah.
and it's completely, it's like an outlier statistically because it's so strange. It's very rare, but most of the, I mean, the cases of violence, and I'm not an expert, Joe, but that happen tend to be familial.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a broad sense,
Yeah.
where it's people who know each other,
Yeah.
right? Which goes against the
norm, yeah.
the normal sort of moralistic hypothesis put forward
Yeah.
about, you know, families being the safest places in the world. But in actual fact, it's very you know, very. I mean, many partners,
Yeah.
right? And are actually in danger from the person who they should least be in danger from.
Yeah. And I think
Sadly,
in the statistics of murder,
awfully.
in the statistics of murder, that is probably the highest percentage,
yeah.
right? The partnership. It could be an ex-wife, it could be an ex-husband,
Yeah.
it could be an ex-girlfriend.
And one of the worst, one of the worst aspects of human nature is jealousy.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm not talking about, I mean, ordinary jealousy. I'm talking the extreme psychotic levels of jealousy, which some very inadequate people have.
I've seen you're very close to getting your criminology degree.
Yeah.
You know your subject well. But back to the unrest at the beginning of August there, right? They still haven't got the message over to people. It didn't matter whether the rumors were true or false, right?
Oh no, they meant to be true. It was pure propaganda.
Yeah.
I think that most people who aren't totally prejudiced, right? Who aren't, you know, most people who aren't on the far right would have probably thought this is nonsense. I don't go there because I don't like big crowds, but when I looked in the Metro on the Evening Standard and I saw women prancing around with feathers and having doing both a song in a thong.
Oh, you mean the carnival?
Yes.
Yeah.
There was absolutely nothing there which was aggressive. Everything was anti-aggressive and fun, and most people would just think this is churlish nonsense.
Right. But the message, I'll go back to the riots around the 4th of August that weekend.
Even Sadiq Khan didn't mention this. He just said it was very nice, a nice time.
Right, but anyway, before I move on to that, the message that I must get over, and which is very important, I find, why they rioted on that August weekend is because they said they believed the false rumor. But wait. Let's say the rumor was true. Let's say the rumor was true. That still does not give you the excuse to burn down places, burn down police cars, chuck stones, beat up people, pull people out their cars. It doesn't matter if it was a terrorist who did it. You see what I'm saying?
Now, wait. Now, in the sixth form school that I was in, where the place where in the room where we were making costumes, there was I was surprised at the intellectual level of these sixth formers, right, and their studies. And there was one where they were talking about like murders and that, you know, and Jack the Ripper and what have you. And they had a map and that, and they had different pictures of different like killers and that, and it was being part of their studies. What, and you know, quite fascinating to see that. Well, and when I looked at these pictures, I saw one which I didn't expect to see, P.C. Wayne Couzens in his uniform.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, these kids are bright, and the teachers are bright. I didn't expect that, right, on the curriculum. They're really thoughtful. This is a thoughtful school. But when it seemed out of place even amongst those pictures.
Remind me what he did again. He was the one.
He was the one who in fact, he was known by his mates in the police
As the
force
rapist.
as the rapist.
Oh, that one.
And he'd been doing a lot of abuse, and then he'd been in the World Protection Squad and what have you, And in his career of being abusive, which he'd been covered up by the lads, right? And eventually he went and raped and murdered
Rachel.
a woman on Clapham Common.
The Clapham
And in
Common.
fact, you can still go there, which I did during lockdown, with flowers and things like that to pay tribute. It's still there on Clapham Common. There's a small shrine. It's not as big as it was, but it's there.
Right. But
That caused a lot of the raucous,
Right.
and even the mayor had to get involved. It was quite terrible.
yeah, he did.
It was really ripped. There was no excuse for it whatsoever.
All right. So I'm going to reiterate it. Then we're going to move on. Right. Whether or not it was a real terrorist that stabbed those three people, the three kids, that killed the three kids. Whether it was a real terrorist, a Hamas or what have you, or ISIS or what have you, or it's still not an excuse. You see, a lot of the media, right, are saying indirectly, they're saying if it was a terrorist, it was justified to riot.
Hang on a minute. If the British government was so worried about terrorism, maybe they should be stop selling high explosive zombie knives to Israel.
All right,
Because there's a lot of stabbings in Israel, right? But they're actually called bombings.
all right, okay.
In fact, the knives, the zombie knives that they sell them, right, are able to kill maybe 100 people at a time and demolish houses.
Yeah, these are missiles. These are high-powered, high-range missiles.
That's not violence, is it? No. Violence is what happens at Carnival. No, that's not violence. That's the right of a nation state to defend itself, yes, justifiably.
There was a thing in war called tit for tat, where you would use similar force in response. So 1,000 people, let's say 1,500
It goes
people.
back to the just war, didn't it? It's like Lao Tse or something in China.
Right. So 1,500 people was killed in an incident, a terrorist incident, and then you kill 50,000 people, plus the ones that we still haven't found under the rubble.
The Iraq War was meant to be part of that sort of justice.
Do you know there still isn't a figure for the casualties of the civilians in the Iraq War?
No.
What have you heard bandied about as the amount of people that got killed? Civilians?
I hadn't.
I heard the figure of 500,000 people got killed.
Oh,
right.
Under the rubble, buried.
Right. Now,
and also lately, the last couple of days, there's been the Benjamin Netanyahu and his far-right colleagues have started to attack the West Bank of right, and there's almost no Hamas there at all. In fact, it's run by Fatah, and the Fatah is Palestinian, but is a more sort of more liberal Palestinian organisation, which actually works together with them. So it seems to me that the next part of their racist ethnic cleansing operation
and land grab
and land grab and colonial occupation is to the West Bank, right? So now they're attacking Fatah, right? So they use the word Hamas for everybody, even though Fatah is actually dire enemies of Hamas, right? And in fact they praise them for that reason. But now they're doing their next phase of operation and attacking them.
Did you hear what the UN group called out and said stop immediately?
Stop immediately.
Yeah, stop.
Which what they said at Rafah. They said about Rafah, stop immediately. And what they said about all sorts of things about southern Lebanon, stop immediately.
Right. Yeah. Right. Right. So, all right. So,
The only thing that won't stop immediately is the selling of weapons.
2/3 of the world is against Israel and what Israel is actually doing, because we live in the West.
The more powerless parts of the world are against it, even though they're in the majority. The powerful parts of the world, particularly the US establishment, and the British and French establishment, to a lesser extent, right, are just selling the high explosive weapons to actually keep it going.
Right. Yeah.
And justifying it.
Did you remember the?
They wonder if they stop the weapons, that would be the end, overnight.
It would be. Did you
Overnight,
Did you
finished.
remember when
Done.
Britain had sent a ship to try and do a bridge from the sea, the Gaza Strip, in order to bring aid in?
Very odd.
It didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. No,
It didn't happen.
I don't think it was ever meant to happen. No, it didn't happen.
They found it, for whatever reason, it couldn't
Fantasy.
work, right? But how could you, on one hand, sell missiles and bombs and money and fund one side, which is killing the other side, and then you're gonna make a gesture that you're gonna bring aid to them? What kind of mindset, duplicity, who are they speaking to?
Well, now that they're going, the next thing they'll probably pretend that they're very worried about the cholera outbreak.
Where's that happening?
In Gaza.
Okay,
There's cholera outbreak.
that happens.
An extra part of the suffering, maybe, and I wouldn't be surprised if that kind of suffering happened in the Warsaw Ghetto
Cholera.
by some other group of nice people.
Cholera, dysentery, a whole heap of other diseases like that happens after a flood, you know, like in India, and people are homeless and what have you, you know, and sanitary conditions, right, and drinking water, contaminated drinking water, and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And why is the most part, when Israel decides to go and bomb and attack, like it killed the Hamas leader, why didn't America and Britain say no, that is wrong, right? So Hamas and Iran are saying, right, we're gonna avenge that, and they're going, no, you can't do anything. We're sending warships.
Why didn't Margaret Thatcher say that pick Bertha, right, and the apartheid regime in South Africa was wrong, because she always claimed about democracy, didn't she? Especially when she talked about the Soviet Union and satellites, right, in Eastern Europe. She went over to speak to Lech Walesa, and you know, and she was very much in favour of the Solidarność. Ship workers. But
he was a ship worker, wasn't he?
Ship worker, yeah.
Right. Don't they have the most? Oh no, that was Poland, was it?
Poland, yes.
Yeah. I was thinking,
yeah.
it's strange how they that side of the world,
isn't it? Yeah.
how they get prime ministers and presidents. Well, because the one in Ukraine, he's a comedian.
No.
Right. But anyway, let's finish off with Israel before
remember,
we go over
Italy,
to that.
in Italy nearly had a comedian prime minister
Was it a
called
woman?
Beppe Grillo.
Oh.
And that was the rise of populism in Italy,
Okay.
and now they've got a sort of like a fascist or semi-fascist. Right, she seems to be a fairly moderate for a fascist, but nevertheless she represents the fascist party, and they came together with this inner populist front with this comedian Beppe Grillo. So comedians do see, you know,
They do seek higher power. And
well,
actually,
footballers.
You know what? Talking about comedians, remember we had one of the biggest clown shows for a few years right in this country.
Yeah. But he never actually. He wasn't recognised as a comedian. He'd never actually had his own show. Unlike the Orange Ape, who actually had a talk show. This is populism, folks.
All right.
I'm not saying it's popular.
All right. Remember, I said I'm waiting for two bangs, two big. Actually, we haven't finished with Israel yet. I was waiting for two bangs, and guess what? I've seen a news report where there's a couple of oil tankers burning in that strait with
Yes.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, does that make sense that Keir Starmer has actually said oil price, the petrol price is going to rise, right? And did he? Because that oil tank has been burning for a few days, but it was only like yesterday he said that fuel prices is going to be rising, but fuel prices would rise anyway because of the shortage. If petroleum can't get from that region, right, over to
so it has to go through either overland or through the Gulf, through
Suez Canal,
South Africa.
Yeah,
it does
that
the long route. Yeah.
Long route. It's going to cost more, right? Yeah. And it's going to take longer, right? Yeah. So there's a hot war being fight right in that strait right now, right?
And they can stop it tomorrow.
By doing what?
By stopping the arms sale and actually and declaring a two-state solution and sending in United Nations soldiers.
Do you know? You know what somebody said to me? They said to me,
UN soldiers.
All wars are funded, right? Now, you said selling missiles and rockets to Israel.
Yes, in fact, the United States sells missiles to Israel in the same way that the National Rifle Association sells guns to supermarkets like
routine anybody.
Supermarkets.
Yeah,
like,
Walmart.
Yeah,
Walmart.
Yeah. What kind of so you can get a small? You can go from handgun to
AK-40
to a B-52 bomber.
Oh right.
Choose your weapon.
Yeah,
it's real cowboy land. Yeah.
But here's something interesting.
So you want to take me out? You and you. Who's nuclear arsenal?
Yeah. You and whose army? Yeah. But here's a different twist. What is the bill so far for the expenditure on especially that Iron Dome, right? All the missiles, because it's missiles intercepts with missiles.
Well, from what Navarro Media, looking at TLDR, Navarro Media, TYT, look at all left-wing sort of media shows, right? It seems to me that the Israeli economy is bankrupt and is just being kept afloat.
It is bankrupt
officially
because it can't pay for the weaponry that's been sold to it. Right?
In fact, Netanyahu was quite terrified for the war stopping because when the war stops, people will see how people, even his own supporters, will actually become unemployed, and we'll see how what a huge cost of living crisis.
Who see the emperor is not wearing any clothes.
Any clothes, no.
Because he makes a lot of noise and look over there, Hamas and Iran and the people over there and the people over there and everybody in that strip there, the Gaza strip, they're all Hamas. We got to kill them, right? And he's jumping and screaming and everyone's going yeah.
Well, it's funny how the Israeli health ministry, if someone dies, they say. They say that they say a person has died. But when somebody dies in Gaza, they say the Hamas health ministry says that someone has died.
Yes, I know. And the propaganda continues. But you know what?
So are they going to say that it's the Fatah health ministry? And were they going to say the Hezbollah health ministry?
I believe at the moment.
And did they tell, the Iraqi health ministry?
I believe at the moment there's a full-scale war going on, right? Missiles are coming over and hitting in Israel.
Yeah, it's uninhabitable, the north of Israel and the south of Lebanon, both parts.
Right, so
it's uninhabitable.
There's a full-scale hot war going on right there.
Hot war.
It's been misreported, right? Because journalists can't get in. But I'm sure Hamas and the other factions there against Israel are fighting big, and of course it's expected. And all you can hear every now and then is rockets coming through.
Listen, who, in a way, we're not explained who is Hamas, who is Hezbollah. They are people who are freedom fighters, some people would say. They've taken up arms because of the terrible apartheid situation
Can
in
I
Israel.
ask this question?
In fact, one of what they may go back to their farms and factories when that horrible injustice is over. Could be.
Can I ask a similar question in balance? What is a Jew? Who is a Jew?
I've no idea because throughout history there've been a massive diaspora of people who believe in the Torah.
So why
around the world?
So why do British politicians? Why do Americans?
Even in India.
Yeah.
And in.
So why do British politicians, American politicians, talk about Jews?
Well, because gives it Zionism a moral sort of cover.
And explain again.
Well,
it's like
talking about it's like talking about Palestinians, right, as Muslim. In fact, quite a few are Christian, and a lot of the people who are fighting Israel are Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would be. They're Palestinian.
Yeah.
Nationalists. You know, their land. Now, you know, there are. It's funny how we had reports of Israeli soldiers shooting some women in a church. Well, in a church, and it was just mentioned like it was nothing. It was like, and the contradiction was glaring. It's like, oh, so it's just that they don't even. It's like they're not even aware of how ridiculous it sounds. Are they all Muslim Islamic fundamentalists? Well, they shot some women in a church. Well, first they're not fundamentalists and they're not Islamic.
If I remember,
but they are women.
If I remember, they destroyed the church, didn't they?
They
blew it up.
The church.
They blew it up. Yeah.
Yes.
And the people in it.
Yes. And none of Donald Trump's supporters got angry. Right. There's evangelists who think Israel is the place on earth to worship. Thinks it's that's a thing. Collateral damage.
You said it. You actually said it, right? Indirectly, but I'm going to say
there's an Armenian church, right, in Jerusalem that is really under great threat. They've been there for a long time, and they're resisting legally. They're resisting, right, being pushed out and bulldozed for a Jewish settlement. Right, or Zionist. I don't want to use the word Jewish settlement. I want to use the word Zionist settlement.
All right, let me chuck this in. Legally, what are you on about when you say legally? In war, there are no rules.
I'm using these.
You know what? The people grab hold of these.
I'm saying this because I don't.
I know what you're saying.
I'm trying to.
I know what you're saying.
I'm trying to add to the ludicrousness of everything. The fact is that there actually isn't even in Israel. There isn't even a fig leaf of bourgeois democracy.
Well, yeah.
There's not even a fig leaf. The law courts there, right, might as well be in North Korea. They don't even have a fig leaf of.
But look at the people of Gaza who believe that international law or Geneva Convention.
There's many of them. You don't have to look on YouTube. Lots of them.
They were told if they went over there they will be safe. They went over there and they got bombed.
No.
The international, what they call the international
well, in the
legal court.
But in the 1930s there were international laws. In the League of Nations created international laws. That was before 1945. But after the First World War, there were a set of international laws created. That didn't stop the Holocaust.
Right. So when you say legally, this Armenian church, nobody as you say, nobody's following any legal.
Who even hears about it?
But it's given as a pretext for you to find for the victims to find some kind of
I'm trying to pull out the contradictions. I
Yeah,
mean, if,
I know, I'm
if
trying to
they
show
were
them.
a mosque, it wouldn't matter whether they were a mosque or a synagogue.
Right.
The unfairness would be the same.
Yeah, yeah. But what it is that they,
It's just divide and rule,
the,
really.
the people of Gaza are being given these things for comfort, but they're still being slaughtered.
Well, when Kenyans were slaughtered by the British Army, right? And nobody mentioned that they were Christian and went to church, and they went to the same church as the British soldiers went to,
That case was in
and that the British colonists went to.
court here. Well, what was? Can you remember what the results were?
No, I don't know, but it's probably a whitewash. They probably give them 20 pence or something.
Yeah. All right, now back to the. Remember, I said there was going to be 2 bangs, and the first bang.
Or
is
they
that-
might wait till after they die and then offer them compensation the day afterwards, and then say, well, seeing as you won't need it, we'll might as well take it back.
Yeah, just a gesture.
Gesture.
Gesture politics.
Gesture politics. Yes.
Yeah, it's gesture,
You
but
might
there's
say
no
yes.
nothing. But let's go. I said there was going to be 2 bangs, right? And I believe the first one's actually gone off already, right?
Yes.
And there's a hot war actually
It's
going
terrible,
on
yes.
in Israel. The second bang is actually in Ukraine, right? And Putin is firing back a whole heap of rockets into Ukraine, and we're not hearing much about it. Now, if you rattle a man who has the second biggest armory in the world,
Yeah.
right? Don't you expect for him to hit back? If you decide, like I said, if you rattle a man, right? And it's kind of funny. It's like on the weekend, on the bank holiday weekend, both Ukraine and Israel, the fighting had intensified,
Yes.
right? Do you notice how I don't know which media that I'm actually.
I think it's time for a ceasefire in the Ukraine as well as the Middle East.
Do you know what?
I mean, they're
the
it's
most.
going to happen eventually.
I'm glad you said
Better
that.
to happen now and stop all these dead people.
I'm glad you said that. But the most stupidest thing I've heard a lot of British politicians say and British people saying is that we should give Ukraine bigger and better missiles.
Remember Liz Truss sitting on the top of a tank, and that picture of her being the Margaret Thatcher and that. And when they had this phony election into Tory election, right, and they one after the other, right after Johnson was booted out, right. Then that picture of Liz Truss with upon that tank doing her Thatcher-esque pose, right, got the Daily Mail reading bigots right into apoplexy. You know, they had a Churchill-gasm, and then they put her in, and the rest is herstory. The rest is deep state story.
And I never believed how much damage she actually done. And a lot of financial commentators are still commentate the effect that she had.
Probably blames George Soros. Everyone else does. She might as well.
But back to Ukraine, and this is where I think it's a very important point. If politicians and certain people are calling for bigger and better armory from Britain to Ukraine and America, we're slowly walking into. We're actually. It's actually, from my point of view, it's actually been fought already. We're actually in a world war.
Well, I'm sure that the psychopathic military-industrial complex leaders will be so happy that they've got 2 nice wars going on that they might want a third one, because they might get like an infantile sort of gleefulness, right, at how they've managed to sell so many weapons. They'll think, well, let's start another one. So they might be looking at the map at this very minute, thinking, where else can they start a third one?
Yeah, but don't you realize?
Don't they realise it? I do realise.
Let me tell you. all right.
Unfortunately, I'm almost sane.
Look, if you are supplying my enemy guns, bombs, and missiles, you become my enemy.
Enemy, yes.
And I have the right to attack you in your base. Actually, you got to do it, kind of thing, right?
Well,
where you produce those. In fact, I've got the right to attack your military complex, because your military complex is supplying my enemy's military complex, right? And it's the same with Britain, right? If I am Putin and you're the guy in Ukraine, right?
Exactly.
And you getting missiles
and all the extreme Russian nationalists are saying the mirror image of the Pentagon extremists. They're saying well, we have the right to defend ourselves, meaning attack. So the two are attacking each other and saying that we have the right to defend ourselves, because it sounds morally justified to defend, right? It sounds Israel is not defending itself, it's attacking. It's always been attacking. The only people that have defended themselves have been the Palestinians.
And they've been slaughtered.
In fact, although I don't have much time for Putin and Russian nationalism, I've got to admit that a lot of this started after the real sort of revolt that happened, I think, in the Maidan, so in the Kiev, right? And the uprising was taken over by a lot of the far right in Ukraine. And actually, they got into parliament. The first thing they did is to ban people speaking Russian. Well, that's 3/4 of the population in the eastern industrial part, and they turned them into Russian nationalists because they did not want to have that imposed on them. That's all been forgotten, and because we're given a one-sided picture of Ukraine, right? So we're told whose side are you on, in the same infantile way, and the same is happening about Israel. So I'll be told by somebody a maniac who'll be listening to this and saying, you're always against Israel, you must be pro-Hamas. It's just silly.
And you know what you say to them?
I'll say to them, I think Benjamin Netanyahu prefers Hamas than I do.
No, what you say to them is very simple.
I think he gave them more weapons than I've ever given them.
Yeah. What you say to them is very simple.
And more love.
When they say you must be pro-Hamas, you just say yes. Because Hamas was voted in legitimately, right? And then Israel decided to, what do you call them, subscribe them, to ban them.
Ban them,
right? And who helped created Hamas in order to
Netanyahu
to fight
the secular socialists.
Yeah, to fight
the PLO.
Our guy.
Yes, because during the Cold War, the PLO was a secular socialist organisation like the IRA.
And what was the leader again? What was that?
The Irish Republican Army was secular.
Remember the leader? What's the
and socialist?
Remember the leader of the PLO?
They wanted a secular socialist republic.
Can you remember the leader of PLO? The short guy.
Oh, Yasser Arafat.
Yasser Arafat. We must not forget Yasser Arafat, right? Who travelled the world. And I think he's opposite
with his kefir.
Yeah, his opposite half was
and it's a lovely yogurt drink, kefir.
Yeah. So we must
the famous kefir.
Yeah. So we must not forget, and I can remember seeing him and him traveling and trying to work out and
during that time you didn't hear anything about fundamentalism, because it was a secular organisation for the liberation of occupied Palestine that wanted, guess what, a two-state solution with two states living next to each other. Not perfect, but it was not the kind of thing that the state based on religious apartheid that Israelis.
Yeah.
It was not. It was Palestine under Yasser Arafat was not going to ban people on the basis of their religion.
All right, we've gone back in history. I've got to do a little bit more research on Yasser Arafat, or go deep into the recesses of my mind and pull out.
There's so much new propaganda being thrown at us all the time. It's hard to remember even what happened a week ago.
I know, and it's designed that way. All right,
it's designed that way.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, let's get back to Britain now.
Yeah.
And
oh yes, things can only get better. Or if you're in the Carnival, you can say thongs can only get better.
No, it didn't say that. It said things are going to get worse
and better. Yeah.
Right.
No, what he's basically is simply he's going to create a new austerity, and he's partially right about the debts that the Tories have left, but basically he's not going to tax the rich, just like the Tories didn't, and therefore he hasn't an answer for it. Him and Rachel Reeves, the banker, right, with a W, and they are on the side of the wealthy, because she wanted to cut benefits much more than the Tories ever wanted to. So this is what they actually think. They want the poor to pay, right, for their and then basically, so round 2 of austerity is coming, and a lot of clever words are being used, but it's round 2 of austerity. So they mean there's going to be pain that's unremitting, and they want 10 years to cause that pain.
And I believe,
just
right,
just like Cameron and Johnson.
Everything you said, I agree with, except when you say about the Labour's view on it's going to be the same policies as a Conservative in relation.
It won't be exactly the same. It'll be slightly better.
I would say I'm just going to wait and see how they handle that.
Do you think that austerity is coming?
And here's the second point. Things are going to get worse. Now listen to it. And it's going to stay worse. And it's going to get worse.
Yes.
Do you remember what I said before? Almost every week, the government cannot pay its bills, and it's actually showing you a little bit of the truth by saying, listen, this has got to go up, that's got to go up, that's got to go up. But from where I stand, they still can't pay the bills, and even when everything goes up, they still won't be able to.
How can a capitalist society pay the bills when a small minority of incredibly wealthy 1% of incredibly wealthy millionaires who control the economy won't even pay a few pence to actually improve things, to build 5 council houses, 1 hospital, or 1 youth centre.
All right, let me expand on the formula of why the government cannot pay the bills, will not be able to pay the bills, and why things are going to get worse. Now, I've been saying it for every week until up to the election, and even after the election, and even now you begin to see they're telling you everything's going to go up in price, right? Now,
if they said they won't tax the rich. They're not so. They say they're not Corbyn. They're not socialist. They're not going to tax the rich. They're not Marxist. They're not going to tax the rich.
Let me go back to Gaza and the rule of law. Remember, the poor Gazan people are told that internationally and legally, if you go over there, right, do what these, and what happened? They got blown up.
Yeah.
Politically, it's the same thing with the Labour Party and us. The same thing with the Conservative Party, more with the Conservative Party and us.
Well, actually, it should. I don't like the name Labour Party being used with Sakir Smarmy.
Okay.
I don't like it at all. I think that it's the wrong. Maybe it should be called the Social Democrats or something like that.
Right.
It's or the Lib Dems or something. It should not be called the Labour Party, because the Labour Party was set up by people like Beatrice Webb and somebody else, right? As a part from the trade unions, as a party for quite a very socialist
Labour Party at the beginning. Anyway, let me just distract you. 3 swans.
3 swans, yeah.
Right, 2, male and a female, and an offspring.
Yeah.
And they're going along in the background, which is really kind of nice. Those are people looking at it live can see it. Yeah. So you're saying the beginning of the Labour Party. Oh, now you caught up in the swan song.
The swan song of
Anyway,
the Labour Party.
The Labour
was
Party.
the end of Jeremy
You say
Corbyn.
they should change their name. Oh, remember there was a. Was it SDP?
Oh, Jeremy
No. Do
Corbyn.
you remember there was a split in the
I
Labour?
don't like him, he's useless, he's no good, and he does like all those foreigners. I don't like him. I don't know who to vote for, because I don't really like Johnson, because I know he doesn't speak the truth, but at the same time, he's lovely, really. He's got lovely hair, and he's nice, and I don't know what to think, really. All this education,
Yeah.
but I'm going to go down voting, and I'm going to vote Conservative.
But the Labour Party did split about 20 years ago, and we had it was the beginning of the Lib Dem, right? I forgot what they call themselves. There was a woman who led the charge. She may have passed away now. The Labour Party did split. It was a more liberal aspect of.
The Gang of 4. The Social Dem. They split the. Yeah. Shirley Williams. Or
Yes.
Something. Yeah. And the Gang of 4.
Right.
Yeah. And they collapsed, didn't they, at that time?
Right.
But now they are. The SDP actually have won. They are.
The liberal.
They are.
Yeah. When he got.
They're the people who were actually kicked out and disappeared. They are right. They are the new
The liberal
new Labour. They started under Blair, New Labour, and this is carried on under Blair.
Yeah, but you see, you were saying.
And the Progress
Right,
Party,
but you say
the secretive Progress Party that Blair runs, that actually is in real charge of the Labour Party, and has kicked out Momentum.
Right, but you were saying that
Progress group.
Under Claire Starmer, you were saying that Labour Party should change its name, right? So I was reverting back to what happened those many years ago, right? And you're saying that they should be called the Lib Dem, which is
something like
which it started from the Labour Party.
Yeah.
It was the
No, they split off.
Exactly.
They split off. Yeah.
Yeah, it came from the Labour Party. The birth of the Lib Dem started with the Labour Party.
Yeah.
But you saying.
In fact, they've in effect by the Labour Party moving to the right, allowed the Conservative Party to move to the right, and they both leapfrogged each other.
Strange dance,
to
isn't
move
it?
To the right.
It's a strange
It's
dance.
a strange dance, yes.
Move to the right.
The lopside to the right, to the yeah. They don't do it in candy. They go right to the and they go to the left as well.
That one in soccer is called follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow okay, yes. Follow the leader.
Everybody go right.
To the right, to the right, to the follow the leader. To the right, to the right, to the follow the leader.
Oh yeah, all right. Yeah, right. So yeah. All right, so okay. So things are not going to get better.
No.
The government
Austerity, it means pain. We're told, look, he said, we're going to experience pain.
a lot of
That's it.
Right. And
He didn't say that before the election, did he?
all right, and the first thing he said was that he was going to take away.
Isn't that what George Osborne said? Remember, George Osborne said to improve the balance of payments, people are going to experience a lot of pain, and we were given lots of pain.
Do you know what George Osborne did for me? And I was really grateful. Right, he realized social rents were going up at an extreme rate. So what he did, for 5 years, he said that the rent shall be reduced every year for 5 years. And you'll never believe it, for 5 years, my rent actually went down every year. Only by £1 though, but it went down every year. Did you hear what Keir Starmer said?
Oh, I think I saw this in Carnival Damo. Because he's green, he's quite anti-Labour. It's very interesting to listen to him. He was saying that Rachel Reeves want to increase social rents to the level of private rents to have the money to pay for more social housing.
Yeah.
So robbing from the poor to pay the poor.
All right. So what? Yes. So
Rob
what?
from the poor to pay the poor.
All right. So what I've kind of indirectly heard that's going to be official policy.
So basically, I steal from you and then give it back to you. But I'll give you back less than I've stolen.
All right. Now the outcome of the social rent going up to
I'll take £5
Yeah.
from you and give you back 3.
right now the side effects of social rent going up to commercial rent is going to
Homelessness.
it's going to be riotous.
Right. Yes.
Now, so what I've heard indirectly, the official
right.
rise, the first rise you're going to get is the 2% plus 5%. So it's gonna go up by 7%.
Oh,
Right. So
God.
your social housing is gonna go up by about 7%, almost year on year. Every year it goes up by 7%. So it's not that it's 7% from it's compound.
Compounded.
Right.
Oh God, compounded. Yeah.
Right. And back to compound.
7% compound interest.
Let me
Here
get
we are back to that.
let me get back to compound. Right. Ooh, the swans are coming in.
Yeah.
All right. Now, how do I explain this? Okay. Now they say in industry, the economy is actually growing, right? Right. They say it's growing. It's growing. It's growing by 2%.
Yeah.
Right. If you're selling a product, when you buy it, it's gone up.
Yeah.
Where you warehouse it has gone up.
Yeah.
Where you process it from one stage
Gone up.
to the next stage has gone up.
Yeah.
When you sell it on, what are you gonna reduce the price? You as a producer, are you gonna increase the price to cover your cost,
Yeah.
or are you gonna keep it the same? What are you gonna do?
Increase the cost.
You increase the cost. So when I sell, if I sold last year at £1,000,
Yeah.
the same product I'm selling you, right? I've got to sell it to you for, what did I say, £1,000? I've got to sell it to you for 1,000, maybe 100, 1,100, right? So, if all my other friends in the industry is doing the same thing, of course there's an increase in sales.
Increase, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's an increase in sales because you've got to cover the basic costs. Things have gone up in price. Labor prices has gone up,
Yeah.
right? People's individual, all right, so more or less,
Well,
so all right,
Yeah.
now here's the cost to the government, right? Every section of their machinery, the mechanism of the state, whether it's education, whether it's policing, whether it's prison,
Everything's gone up.
right? Say it again.
everything's gone up.
Right.
Yes.
So when they say I'm going to give you an increase of 10% this year, it's actually equivalent to zero,
Yeah.
because
Zero.
everything else has gone up,
Gone up, yeah.
right? And then they're asking people to actually reduce by 10%,
Yeah.
right? Now, when they reduce by 10%, it appears, because they made that
So
saving,
lots of people will go below the poverty limit
more people now, and probably at a very faster rate,
at a faster rate.
right? But remember, I said to you, where are
So
the...
we're heading towards a third world sort of country. We're heading towards Rwanda, maybe.
No.
Maybe we'll have an economy like Rwanda
No, this
or
is
Burundi.
No, this is what I call it on my personal level. I call it the fourth world.
Fourth world.
The reason why I call it the fourth world, because it's been through all the stages of development and it's now declining.
Okay, I like that idea. I have
Right.
used it myself sometimes.
I've been using that fourth world thing,
Fourth world, yeah.
right, from before lockdown,
Fourth world.
right?
Okay.
And if you go on my Facebook page,
Okay.
You'd see, I'm talking
Fourth
about the
world.
apocalypse, right? And it happening. The
Is there a fourth world both in the West and in the third world?
no, here's what, it's a construct that we have to put clothes on, right? The more it goes out there, the more it will have meaning, the more people it will pick up attraction. This is, let's say it's a word that I invented. It's
Okay, fine. Yeah.
it's a concept that I've invented.
So what differs from the third world to the fourth world?
All right, I'll tell you what the fourth world is. The fourth world is Mad Max. Have you seen the movies?
No.
all right, it's a
Wacky races.
No, I'll tell you what they do. They call it a dystopian world,
Dystopian world. Yeah.
right? And so that's the fourth world. That's the fourth. Lola, come over. How's the carnival? How was carnival? Come tell us about the carnival.
Yeah. Come on, we need someone to join in with us.
I don't think I'm ready.
Well, you don't have to be ready. You just have to come and say something.
All right, Lola. All right,
I was gonna
no,
phone you.
no,
and
no,
say,
no, no.
Just say hello.
No.
Just say hello. Say anything.
Is it
All right, let's carry on. Let's carry on.
Yes, just
All right,
say,
Lola,
come on, say hello.
Lola, it's
I
fine.
say
It's
hello.
fine. It's fine. Let me continue. Let me continue. Right, the fourth world is a dystopian world.
Dystopian world.
It's Clockwork Orange.
Listen.
Le-
the
no,
dystopian
sorry, leave
world
it, leave
is
it,
it two men and no women? Is it patriarchy?
Yeah.
Cease
All right.
and desist.
Look. Yeah.
Okay. Carry on. Well, let's carry
So
on.
the fourth world is the dystopian world, right? It's Clockwork Orange. It's all those futuristic
nonsense movie where did you see that one? I think it was called Total Recall. Is it Total Recall? When he had to go to the moon or something, and there was a group of people who were underground who were all disfigured.
Oh, okay.
And-
I'll try to explain what I think in my mind might be close to this, right?
Okay.
And you tell me if you're right, because this is hypothetical. I was told some time ago by a South American, right? And they were saying in the villages people are very poor, but they, in the areas where it's just fertile, they have plenty of food, right? They're not malnourished. They don't have anything above it, but they're
happy.
they're sort of living in
In balance,
yes,
in balance.
I think yes.
They're living in balance. They're
yes,
happy.
I think I don't know whether they're happy, but it seems to me
I've been there.
they're quite happy.
I've been there.
It seems to me they're quite
I've
pleased.
been there.
Okay,
They are
so
happy.
Okay, fine. But what I mean is, right, is they have enough to eat. Now, in the big cities, right, in the ghettos of the big cities, I think where they call barrios in Spanish or favelas in Portuguese, but in the slums of big cities, they're in a very strange situation. They have all the problems of urbanization, but they have none of the benefits of the countryside. They can't grow food. They need money to buy food, but they haven't got money, so they haven't got food. And there's a lots of crime to get the money to survive. So crime is their economy, and of course crime is dystopian. And the people that most of the crime is done against is people who are other poor people. So really, like town mouse and country mouse, they're actually much worse off. So that could be the Mad Max world you're talking about.
That is the Mad Max.
So fourth world. Okay.
And if you've noticed, right, ghettos are just outside of cities.
Just outside the city.
There's no ghettos in the country.
No, not ghettos in the country.
So this fourth world is coming. Actually, it's already here, right? It's already here, right? And it's going to get compounded.
Well, I should think that the most Mad Max of all societies would probably be in the huge American cities with massive ghettos. They probably got ghettos that make the ghettos in South America look small by comparison. I've seen this on YouTube. People someone going in a car around Los Angeles at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? And all the streets had tents. And
It's called Skid Row.
really, I'd never,
Skid Row.
I'd never seen pictures of America like this. It was horrendous. Worse than many of the things that pictures I'd seen of the slums in the third world countries.
I've actually been watching that, right? And
Just unbelievable. And it was done to some very sad music.
I watch updates as well. So that's one place. They had another place which was, it's a beach. It used to be called Palm Beach. Now,
And I should think that those people are very unhappy, and maybe compared to the people that you're talking about in the countryside. So I would agree with you that they're probably a lot happier in those villages in the countryside.
right, those ghettos, Skid Row, right? So they have social services. People come up with portable shower, portable a van, open back,
Skid Row.
where they can actually have shower. One woman was actually given a CNN award because of the charity work she actually does on Skid Row. There's food kitchen, so every night they will line up for the food. It's almost the same here. We go to Camden.
Oh yeah,
You go-
yes,
right,
exactly. No,
right.
yeah.
So
The only difference is probably in proportion. It's probably just much larger.
it is.
It's
There's-
probably the same immiseration, but on a huge, much larger scale.
all right, let me tell you about that seaside town.
Which is worse.
Yeah.
If it's on a larger scale.
Yeah, let me tell you about that seaside town, right, where Arnold Schwarzenegger, right, used to do weights,
The weights,
and
well,
stuff.
Ah, Clacton on Sea.
Right? No, it's in America, right?
In America.
Right now,
Gold Beach.
the whole
Gold
beach-
Gym on that some beaches.
right, the whole beach, right, homeless people actually took it over. I have a guy in America. He's of German descent. Look, I say I've got a guy in America. He does a report every week, right? And he shows the dust carts coming up, picking up the tents, and putting them. So they're now
horrible.
beginning to clear away, right? Also in America, we
terrible.
got the
That's that Mad Max, Fourth World.
Right.
I got it.
also
Mad Max.
Oh, let
Fourth World.
me give you a bit more.
That's not in the countryside.
Let me
In the
gi-
countryside, you sleep where you want.
Right. Let me give you a little bit more. There's a place called Kensington in Philadelphia. I think it's Philly, right? And there you got there's a certain street, almost like what you call the front line, where people are literally standing up, right, on the streets like that, frozen, right? It's got rows of people on the streets, homeless, right? Even lying on the street, zonked out. Women selling their bodies. This drug called fentanyl, right?
Fentanyl.
Which is making its way over here. My friends over there, right, are on horse tranquilizers, what do they call it? Ketamine,
Ketamine, yeah.
right? And they're on other painkillers, right? And methadone, right? And white stuff, right? So it's actually here. But that's a report I get every now and then from Philly. It's called Kensington, right? It started, the reports started to reach over here about last year or so, right? Now, the fourth well is already here, but for only those of you who can actually see it, right? So,
Well, it's hidden in plain sight. When I look at the, every time I get on the overground, I see somebody coming in and asking for money, and most people just ignore them. I give them a little tiny little thing.
it's almost.
But and they're quite pleased, you know. But people ignore them, and I think that that's what people are doing all the time, because everybody in the cities sees the homeless, and they've become accustomed to it. And so like they see dogs and cats and pigeons, they see people in every doorway everywhere. And it's like in the 70s it was mentioned as a shock, right? It's just seen as nothing, everyday life.
6 a.m. Saturday, I'm coming to the park. As I pass Finsbury Park station on the concourse, there's about 6 people zonked out.
Yeah.
Right? As the day would go on, let's say 8, 9 o'clock, then the staff would actually move them on. If you pass there now, you might just see 1 or 2 of them sitting there, right? And there's signs up saying no drinking and what have you, but you can see, right? As you're saying, it's in plain sight, but it's actually increasing. I know somebody.
Yeah, and with Sir Keir Smarmy's pain increase, right? It's austerity. We're going to see this just blow up.
Because he can't fix the problem, right? The reason why...
Is he trying? Does he want to?
No, he can't. The reason...
He can't?
He can't. I'll tell you why he can't. Do you want to listen?
Yes, please.
The reason why he can't is because he's part of an... We're all part... The world is part of an economic system, right, that does that. There are countries...
Well, that's what Karl Marx says.
Right. There are countries...
That the individual capitalists, right, however pleasant they are, can't actually do anything against a system which is built for profit.
Right. Countries have gone bust. Do you remember when, was it Iceland? When he had 35%?
Iceland,
yeah. And then we had Greece recently had to be bailed out.
And Argentina hundreds of times.
How's Argentina doing?
Well, Milei is just crushing people because he hasn't changed the inflation, he hasn't improved the economy.
He can't.
All he's done is immiserate people. Today, this morning on the World Service, they were saying that people are very angry because their pensioners, right, in Buenos Aires, have gone on the street and he's cut their pensions and they're in terrible poverty, and he sent the police to beat them up, the elderly. This is what the bastard does.
Welcome to the fourth world, because
Fourth world.
Argentina was a very advanced place.
Yeah, 1911 was one of the richest countries in the world, yes.
So it's gone through, gone through that
The
phase.
British investment to build railways and everything, beef production, wheat production.
Do you know what it's like? It's like, you ever do astronomy when they say it's a burnt out star, right? That sun is going to burn out and it'll turn into a black hole and then start sucking things into it, right? It's almost like what's happening in Argentina. It's burnt out, it's turned a black hole, and now it's sucking in the poor people. It's sucking them in. It's kind of the reverse. Things are taken away from them, so they're going, you know, they're dying quicker and quicker. Right. So that's internationally. Countries have gone bust. You've got it in your mind, but nobody is showing the torch in it. It's there. Now we've got boroughs have gone bust.
Boroughs have gone bust, yeah.
Right. Birmingham is a good example, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's got to be bailed out, right? The economic system that...
I remember, right, under the time of Cameron, when there was when he was like surcharging councils, he was cutting councils. It was much worse to Labour councils than Tory councils, but there were still Tory councils went broke, and they were pleading with him. And I remember his own council, right, were pleading with him. They've now voted Labour, right? This Tory heartland in the Cotswolds, the council's broke. They were pleading with him. They used to have children's services and elderly services. They are broke.
Look,
Tory broke.
yeah, but those services, right? Those services were for all the boroughs. None of the boroughs have them now.
The boroughs,
right?
Nothing. They have nothing.
Right. The healthcare thing is privatized.
You know who's the road sweeper where I live?
Onyx? Oh, no. God, you're going to make a joke. The politician.
Me. I'm the road sweeper.
Voluntary.
Voluntary, yeah, of course, yeah. And a few people have taken, I've seen a few people doing it as well.
We'll be done in a few minutes. We'll be done in a few minutes, yeah. Yeah, so look, it's right there in front of you. But let me try and conclude.
You won't see road sweepers for dust if they're broke.
All right, let me try and conclude.
You can't phone them up. No?
Yeah. All right, let me try and conclude. Right, so remember I've been saying, right, what have I been saying? What was I going to conclude on? Right, Yeah, that the government. Oh, the Santa Claus and the tooth fairies, right? This kind of lying politics. Keir Starmer has decided to do something a bit different. He's not saying oven ready Brexit.
No, that's why he's been supported, because his game is to actually say, yes, things are awful and I'm different from the populace, that I'm just going to say they're awful. But the point is not to actually just say that it's awful or to say it's wonderful. The point is to actually do something about making people's lives better.
Nobody's life is going to ever get better. Wherever you are right now, you got to hold on to it. If you're under the line,
yes,
you won't be able to. It's called a poverty trap.
You see, the thing is, right, I do thank him for not being Boris Johnson and not lying, but at the same time, I don't thank him for being a Tory bastard, right? Even if he's not a populist one, and he doesn't talk about small. I do thank him for not talking about small boats and trans and people like that.
The reason.
But the fact is that the most important thing, all right, that is not being done, and that is to actually take away the pain. People vote, right, to take pain away, not to increase pain.
Do you know why I think he's not talking about small boats? Small boats is not a problem, but immigration is not a problem.
No.
Just like Brexit was sold to the people and they bought it hook, line and sinker.
Yeah.
And what does it turn out to be? Poof.
Nothing.
What did the Conservative Party do? Where it's supposed to be concentrating on solving and resolving things, it said, look at the boat people.
But what we're going to have, right? We're going back to the era of Cameron. I think we're going to go back to the era of Cameron and Osborne before pre-Brexit, where the austerity was really bad, and that's why, right, that some of the Tory clever dick charlatans started to create this this hyperactive blame game, this snake oil, this hyperactive nonsense about wokeness and political correctness and that, and they created that because they could not, none of them had the answer to the huge inequalities and poverty that was caused by austerity. And we're going to get this austerity again. I'm not saying it hasn't happened all the time, but it's been happening slowly. But we're going to get another fast acceleration that we had under Cameron and Osborne. We're going to go back to the that period.
No, it's going to be Mark II. And on that note, it's goodbye from him.
But you see, there is nothing to steal left. Bye-bye.